The words hit me like a slap. Nathan leaned back in his chair during the quarterly performance review meeting, gesturing dismissively in my direction. Look, we need to cut the dead weight on this team. Some people just aren't pulling their weight anymore. 8 colleagues sat around the conference table. Everyone knew he meant me. Heat flooded my face. My hands gripped the edge of my notepad until my knuckles went white. But I forced a smile, nodding like his words hadn't just shredded my professional dignity in front of everyone. Inside, though, something shifted. Something cold and calculating took over. I thought one clear sentence that would define everything that came next. You just made your last mistake, Nathan. You have no idea what's coming. I wasn't even supposed to be in that meeting. I'd been invited last minute because of a temporary cross-functional access grant nobody knew about yet. The week before, I'd been quietly promoted to interim operations analyst while our director was on medical leave. The promotion gave me system permissions Nathan didn't know I had. Access to performance logs, expense reports, internal communications. Nathan had insulted me in front of senior staff, thinking I was still just another team member he could dismiss. But I wasn't anymore. I had access now. Real access. The kind that revealed truths people tried to hide. And I was about to use every bit of it. My name is Riley Harper, and I'd given Nathan 5 years of my professional life. 5 years of staying late to fix his mistakes. 5 years of writing reports he presented as his own. I'd once saved him from a firing-level mistake when he'd accidentally sent confidential client data to the wrong email list. He'd thanked me privately, then taken credit publicly for catching the error quickly. That was Nathan. He took everything and gave nothing. That loyalty died the moment he called me dead weight. Now I saw him clearly for the first time. With my new system permissions, I started quietly reviewing everything: performance logs, expense reports, client feedback surveys. The deeper I looked, the more discrepancies appeared. Nathan had been falsifying weekly performance summaries for months, inflating his team's productivity numbers, hiding client complaints. Every week he submitted glowing summaries to upper management. Every week, the actual performance data told a different story. I started downloading files systematically, creating a personal backup of everything. The evidence was piling up. I just needed to organize it strategically, build an undeniable case, then decide exactly when to strike. Flashbacks kept hitting me. All those times Nathan had taken credit for my ideas. The pitch that saved a major contract, I'd written it. The workflow redesign that cut client churn in half, my project. I'd watch him present each one, smiling at executives, accepting congratulations, never mentioning my name once. I found a file in the shared drive from 3 months ago, a strategic brief Nathan had submitted to the CEO. I opened it and felt sick. It was my document, word for word. He hadn't even changed the formatting, just replaced my name with his in the header. I didn't confront Nathan. I documented screenshots of every falsified report, timestamps on files showing who actually created them, email chains proving I'd authored work he'd claimed his. I organized everything into folders by category and date. My approach became clinical, cold, methodical. I stopped acting like an employee trying to prove herself. I started acting like an investigator building a case. Nathan thought I was beaten down and quiet. He had no idea I was actively building his professional grave. Nathan asked me to reformat a report he couldn't get to before an executive briefing. It was my report, of course, but this time I had a plan. I reformatted it beautifully, making it look polished and professional. Then I added one small traceable error, a statistic that was slightly off, a date that didn't quite match. Nothing obvious, just enough that if someone checked the source data, they'd notice the discrepancy. Then I BCC'd the operations director on the submission email with a note, attached per Nathan's request. Please let me know if you need the original source files for verification. Nathan had no idea his report was being compared to originals. Whispers started spreading through the office. Nathan's slipping. Have you noticed Riley's handling everything lately? People stopped directing questions to Nathan and started coming to me instead. I answered them professionally, never bad-mouthing him, just being competent and helpful. The contrast became obvious. During one team meeting, a senior manager asked Nathan a direct question about project metrics. He fumbled, stammered, tried to deflect. Then the manager turned to me. Riley, do you have those numbers? I pulled them up immediately, presenting them clearly and confidently. The shift in power was subtle but real. I met privately with Maya, an older colleague who'd left the company 2 years ago. She'd warned me about Nathan back then. He'll take everything you give him, she'd said. I searched the HR shared archive using my new access. I found her complaint. 40 pages of documentation, allegations of credit theft, intimidation, all ignored, all dismissed. I added it to my files. Nathan's pattern went back years. He wasn't his first victim, but I'd be his last. I started quietly contacting other women who'd left our department over the past 3 years. 6 of them responded. All had similar stories. Nathan taking credit, blocking promotions. Their stories formed a clear pattern of behavior. Nathan wasn't just a bad manager. He was systematically destroying talented people to protect his own mediocrity. I asked them if they'd be willing to provide statements. All 6 agreed immediately. I wasn't taking him down alone anymore. I had an army of witnesses. I discovered Nathan had been rewriting team feedback before submitting it to upper management. He'd been editing responses, changing strongly disagreed to agree, deleting negative comments entirely. I compiled a side-by-side comparison document showing both versions. Then I sent a single anonymized report to the legal department with the subject line, Potential Ethics Violation, Anonymous. Just enough to trigger attention. Just a taste of what was coming. 3 days later, I received a confidential email from compliance requesting a private meeting. Nathan's behavior started changing noticeably. He called more meetings than necessary, micromanaged tasks, snapped at people. His panic was showing. During one team huddle, he addressed me directly. Riley, you've been distant lately. Is everything okay? I smiled pleasantly. Absolutely. Just focused on doing quality work. That's always been my priority. He studied my face, searching for hidden meaning. The power dynamic was shifting beneath his feet, and he could feel it but couldn't identify the source. I let Nathan hang himself during a critical presentation. I prepared the slides perfectly, but didn't review them with him. During the presentation, executives asked detailed questions. Nathan floundered. He stammered through non-answers. He contradicted himself twice. Senior leadership exchanged glances. Their confidence in him visibly evaporated. I sat quietly in the back, saying nothing. The executives knew the truth. They'd seen his incompetence firsthand. I had my quiet meeting with compliance 2 weeks after the anonymous report. I brought a carefully curated folder. Falsified performance reports, edited feedback surveys, expense discrepancies. The compliance officer reviewed everything in silence. This is substantial, he said finally. I need you to sit tight and keep doing exactly what you're doing. Don't alert anyone to this conversation. Can you do that? I nodded. Absolutely. Justice was moving slowly, but it was moving, and Nathan had no idea it was coming. A system error caused payroll to short several team members. Nathan claimed it was an IT glitch, but I had access to payroll logs. It was a manual override executed by Nathan 3 weeks earlier. He'd redirected budget funds to cover an expensive off-site retreat. Money meant for salaries had been used for his personal agenda. This was financial misconduct. Fraud. I documented everything and forwarded it to finance and HR. Within hours, I received confirmation that finance was launching an immediate audit. The walls were closing in completely now. The compliance report dropped on a Friday afternoon. I saw the email notification before Nathan did. Subject line, internal investigation findings, action required. Nathan's name appeared under a section titled Immediate Termination Review. The report detailed everything: falsified data, edited feedback surveys, payroll manipulation. The recommendation was clear: immediate termination for cause. The notification came Monday morning. An email from HR landed in my inbox. Nathan's termination packet. Department heads, operations director, finance, and there, at the bottom of the approval chain, was my name. Riley Harper, interim operations analyst. Final approval required before processing. They'd structured the approvals so I'd be the last person to sign off. The person he called dead weight would approve his firing. The poetic justice was almost too perfect. I entered Nathan's office without knocking. He looked up, annoyed. I didn't say anything. I just walked to his desk and slid the termination packet across the surface. He stared at it, then at me. His face went through several emotions: confusion, recognition, fear. I watched him understand what was happening. "This is the last time you talk down to me," I said quietly. "You should have read the room better." He picked up the document and read the first page. His hand started shaking. I turned and walked out. I never saw him again. Nathan was gone by Tuesday morning. No company-wide announcement, just an empty office and his belongings packed in boxes. Colleagues started stopping by my desk. Quiet thank yous, subtle acknowledgments. "You saved us all," one colleague wrote. The validation felt strange. I hadn't done this for gratitude. I'd done it because someone needed to hold him accountable, because silence enabled abuse. I spent the next 6 months rebuilding myself. I designed a comprehensive system audit tool using everything I'd learned during my investigation of Nathan. It tracked performance data, cross-reference reports, and flagged discrepancies automatically, the kind of tool that would have exposed Nathan's fraud months earlier. I presented it at a leadership summit. They implemented it company-wide within 3 months. My name was on the patent application. My work finally credited properly. I submitted my resignation on my own terms, 6 months after Nathan's firing. Not running away, leaving because I'd accomplished what I needed to accomplish here. I'd exposed corruption, protected others, built something meaningful. I walked out of the office for the last time. As I drove away, I thought about Nathan's words. Dead weight. I wasn't dead weight. I'd been the foundation holding everything together. He just never looked down far enough to see it. Some victories aren't about proving yourself to people who refuse to see you. They're about proving to yourself that you were right all along.